We are ready for our next fight of the evening, brought to you by Christopher Trainer and Associates Law Firm. First up, making his way to the cage, fighting out of the red corner, put your hands together for Brandon, the Beast Noble!
Final check from the cage side officials, and into this cage he comes.
Making his way to the cage, fighting out of the blue corner. Put your hands together for Brandon McLaughlin.
McLaughlin, 22 years old, 5 foot 10 inches tall, weighed in at 155.8 pounds. Coming to us out of Southgate, Michigan, training at the Royce Gracie Academy of Michigan. Elder statesman Dave Gomez, Victor Gibson, Jason Christie as coaches. 7-0 as an amateur, making his professional debut right here in this TXC cage. Both of these guys, very, very exciting amateurs. Into the cage, Carol.
To my right, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the white compression trunks. He weighed 156 pounds, stands 5 foot 10 inches tall, making his debut as a professional tonight, but comes to us with an amateur record of 24 wins and only 5 losses. His gym and his sponsor is Michigan Top Team. He is trained by Derek Kirkshin, Cody Steven, and Jason Bishop out of Westland, Michigan. Put your hands together for Brandon, the Beast Noble! To my left, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the white trunks. He weighed 155 pounds, stands 5 foot 10 inches tall. Also making his debut as a professional tonight, but comes to us with an undefeated 7-0 amateur record. He represents Royce Gracie Academy of Michigan and trained by David Gomez, Victor Gibson, and Jason Christie. He is sponsored by the Undercard out of Southgate, Michigan. Put your hands together once again for Brandon! In charge is Brandon.
All right, fight fans, this 155-pound lightweight bout about to get started here at TXC Cage. When we get started, Brandon Noble fighting out of the red corner, white compression shorts. Brandon McLaughlin fighting out of the blue corner, white fight shorts trimmed in black. Final check of the cage side officials. And these guys are no longer amateurs. This debut professional endeavor for both of them underway, Carol.
And I mean, a tough fight for both of them, stepping into the cage for the first time as a professional. You know, they're coming in with great records and great right hand, great combat from McLaughlin. I mean, he's sitting in the pocket and just letting his hands go. You're seeing Brandon Noble turn southpaw, switching back and forth a little bit.
And a nice takedown. I would have given the stand-up, the clinch advantage a little bit to Brandon Noble. But McLaughlin showing he's no slouch. Brandon Noble trying to get his hips underneath him so he can stand out now with a half butterfly. Needs to either control that side or use it to clear. Doing a great job stepping over Brandon McLaughlin. but getting themselves sucked right back in the card, Kara. Now we'll see where the transition is the slowest to take place. Both guys can throw elbows, and they're both going to forget until one of their corners starts yelling at them to start dropping those elbows.
You know, the McLaughlin, the pace he's setting, though, he started out from the rip really fast.
Does a great job, doing a good job at trying to pass, keeping that left ankle nice and far back so he doesn't get in trouble. Looking for the darce now. Wisely bailing, but had he timed it, he could have brought that knee up.
But you know what? McLaughlin seems like he's bringing so many weapons to the table, you don't really know what he's going to do next.
Well, you know, now we see the judo background of Noble taking a little bit of the steam out of McLaughlin here as he gets some confidence under him and his sea legs, so to speak, around him. I do not like this lazy approach he's taken. He's got to dig an underhook. There we go. Now looking for the outside trip there.
And just drags him to the ground.
Looking to just consolidate and get his hips up tight there. A little concerned. Oh, I would have left that butterfly in there. That would have been great for setting up sweeps. Looking to turn for the armbar. Brandon McLaughlin, a lot of mobility right now. Oh, big heavy shot from Noble. And pulling right out, he powered out of that armbar, Kara.
You know, you want to do some damage like that early on to make your opponent think, and not just because it seems like McLaughlin is just running from position to position.
McLaughlin's knees are perfectly placed right to the inside there. Got to be careful here. He doesn't let McLaughlin step over, and Noble has to bail on that. Wisely does. Quick into the pass.
But that's what I'm telling you with McLaughlin. I mean, you don't know what's coming next. He just moves seamlessly from transition to transition.
Great transitions, great flow, and Brandon Noble very quickly in a lot of trouble here, giving up his back. Well, McLaughlin just doesn't stop transitioning, Karen. Now looking to work that choke from the rear there.
But this is what I talked earlier about. You have to start matching your opponent's pace. I mean, Brandon Noble has to pick it up a bit with the pace that McLaughlin's setting. And he kind of seems that half step behind, even though he's capable of doing a lot more.
McLaughlin a little too quick to try to transition there. He should have kept those hips down and kept those tenderizers going, and then took the opportune time when Noble got a little bit tight with the elbows. I'll tell you, Noble has got a lot of heart and doing a great job of fighting off just attack after attack as McLaughlin continually transitions. And at this point, going from 3 to 5 minutes, definitely going to take a lot out of Noble here.
You know, and this is where you have to spar and work in the gym at a high pace and high intensity, because if you get in that lackadaisical spar mode, that's going to cause damage. But look at, Noble almost looks angry about it. I mean, he's going in there.
Well, he's a fighter.
He's a fighter.
He fires back. He doesn't cower. But this is where those rapid transitions of McLaughlin's, which are great for a grappling game. Looking for an inverted triangle right now. If I'll tell you what, Noble can get that foot down around the ankle instead of the foot, he'd have a little more pressure. Now working for the Kimura from the backside. Great submission series here. Got to switch back to working that triangle as McLaughlin tucked his leg in. Look for the toe hold now. Oh, he opens his feet.
You know, but
He's
this is where
This is a great fight.
It's a great fight, but you have to stay intense the entire time. You cannot relax at all with McLaughlin, because he's going to find a way out. He's going to find a way to do something else.
Both of these guys a little quick with their transitions. They got to stop and soften up their opponent. And now McLaughlin doing a good job of scoring for the judges.
But this is, I think, coming into the second round, gives Noble an opportunity to understand that this is the pace that's being set. He's got to move forward and look, just not getting off the canvas. All right, so Brandon Gallo is sending them back in there together, but this is where Noble, I mean, he's got some explosive qualities, and I think he's really going to have to bring that to the table in this second round.
Well, he needs to start relying on his judo out of the clinch. He did a great job mitigating one takedown, and then with that outside leg trip for another takedown.
See, Noble just fell in after that right hand. It just fell in towards McLaughlin, and he's got to just bring it back to his head. I mean, he just...
Well, he's exhausted. He's got his mouth hanging out of his mouth. looking for an opportunistic leg attack there.
Well, it's hard when you have those little explosive moments because typically you don't breathe. It's like, someone bringing off a bunch of bench presses. And they're just sitting toe-to-toe. He tagged him with that left hook. And he threw it half-heartedly, not even expecting to land it or to do any damage. But them sitting there trading, someone was going to go.
Well, Brandon Noble, through the amateur ranks, had a great guillotine. And he's finding out that he's not in Kansas anymore, Toto. Now he's just weathering another storm here.
But that's what I feel. He fights in pieces. He'll come and be explosive, and then he kind of rests for a little bit. If he can learn to breathe, and pace himself through those explosive times, then he wouldn't have those resting moments.
Great job pulling guard there. Started with the top and pulled the leg under. McLaughlin not really seeing it coming, giving up a far superior position. But now both of them have to do something with it.
I think they're both trying to take a couple of breaths right now after some of those exchanges.
Well, Noble's down already in the first round. He's starting out behind in the second round. He doesn't really have a whole lot of time to rest here.
Exactly. I mean, it's not like boxing where you get those 2 points for knocking somebody down, He tried to make use of it, but McLaughlin was able to weather the storm.
It was a solid knockdown, but some volume and position here for the next 3 minutes from McLaughlin. And we're going to have a controversial decision on our hands if it goes to the cards.
Yeah, you're not going to please this crowd either way.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Big, heavy shots.
But I think that's the thing is McLaughlin looks for more damage more often. I think Noble has more damage when he does explode, but it's just not enough.
Well, the wrestling grind and work ethic from Brandon McLaughlin, you can see him constantly digging and pressuring with that head, making Brandon Noble carry his weight. It's just annoying, if anything. It's so hard, like right there. And then following it up with a big shot from the blind side.
Big elbows coming down from McLaughlin. They're trying to drop as much as possible, and you see Noble just really trying to get those shoulders off the cage.
He's trying to force a stalemate with this closed guard against a guy who's just too active and too good at getting a limb loose.
And that's what McLaughlin has been like since the opening bell. I mean, just active, non-stop, going from position to position.
You hear some of the Noble supporters calling for our referee to stand him up. But there's just enough activity from McLaughlin to keep that from happening. Now passing cleanly into side control, Kara. And some more big elbows looking for that Darce. Wisely going to his back is Noble.
It makes you wonder sometimes when you see the amateur background of Noble. We fought at 170 a lot. Was this weight cut too much? Is it at 55? Is this just has been harder because he seemed gassed very early on in the fight?
I think for any of these guys, the first time they have to go 5 minutes for real, it's tough.
Well, I think that's what happened in the first round, right? He kind of set the pace for a 5-minute pace, but McLaughlin wasn't. He was fighting that 3-minute mentality.
Noble now giving up his back.
But he's got the hands, you know what I mean? He's fighting the hands. He wasn't too worried about it.
No, he thought it almost looked like he was trying to bait McLaughlin so that he could then turn back into guard. McLaughlin doing a good job of just transitioning right in and out again. Outstanding transitions from Brandon McLaughlin. And this time,
his body posture just kind of fell right there after a couple of shots.
This time, the body language of Noble a little more defeated than it has been the first part of this fight, Kara.
I think he's frustrated, and the pace that McLaughlin has set has just been too intense.
And McLaughlin this time, heavy down pressure from the hips, hooks in. Brandon Noble unable to move, and instead of trying to transition, just kept those tenderizers coming down and put an end to this fight. Great fight for both of these guys for their first pro fight. It's a shame one of them had to lose, but McLaughlin pushing a little better pace this time.
I think it was a really tough fight for both these guys to take for their pro debut. I mean, just to get your feet wet with something like this, what?
I wouldn't have let a guy taking his first pro fight have either of these guys. I'd have walked him up to 4 or 5-0 if I could get away with it. This is a tough fight to take for either of these guys. McLaughlin getting the better of it. Looked like he was a little better prepared for the style and the type of fight that Brandon Noble was going to bring.